We back. Hey man, it's the Deep Surface Podcast. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, man.
Really man, good. We was having a good conversation before we got on air. Man, it was good. We can't go into it because that's for another day, man. But I'm just thankful to be here, guys. You know, we back in the shop, Tap. We back in the shop. Like we never left, man. Listen, man. I feel like I'm at home, my guy.
Yeah, you should.
You know, and this is before we pray, Scott, can you pray for us too as well? Before I talk, go ahead and pray, Scott.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to come here today, allowing us to meet and have a meeting of the minds, oh Heavenly Father. Stand up in us in this moment, Lord. Let us sit all the way down and allow your light to shine in this moment. Let iron sharpen iron today, God. Let us all glean from the moments that you've provided for us, and let the wisdom that you have amongst us reign supreme in this moment. We thank you for what you're doing in our lives. We thank you for the direction that you're heading. We thank you for the path that you've set in front of us. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, listen, this is Tap. I want to say this, man. This is, being back in here, I was just thinking to myself while we was praying. We in 2013, this is a special place for me. And just sitting here, Keegan and Tap, because you guys were there from the inception. We started right back there.
Yes.
Having a men's meeting.
Right in the front of the shop.
We didn't have any plans for anything. We just kind of came together just to talk, man. Just to kind of get stuff off our chest. End up growing into a unbelievable conversation. Something that, at some point I knew God had to release to the world. And I'm privileged and honored, man, to be here and to watch people's life get shifted, Tap, get moved because of the words that we're speaking. And, the authenticity of the man in this group is real. It's not facade. It's real people, and people are connecting with that. And that's what I think we're charged to put into the world. No matter what we was talking about, what people believe, but no matter what you believe or whatever, whatever your God is or Christian, whatever it is, you can always give to people. We can always agree on that.
Yeah.
And Tap, I want to say I thank you, man, because this was a brotherhood. I learned how to be a man here. I did come in a boy and I'll talk about that a little later in this episode, but, I came in not being around a certain group of men that helped me grow, that helped recreate my identity, helped me give direction and gave me direction in the world. And that was important to me. So I want to say thank you, man, and look at what this morphed into, man. So, but listen, Tap.
And I want to say, even as you're thanking me,
go ahead.
I just want y'all to know that, I'll bring y'all into my prayer closet. When I asked God about doing the shop right here, I told him if he will allow me to get a shop, I would always give him the glory in the shop. And we would always do that Monday men's meeting.
Yeah.
Who knows, years later, look at God moving to the podcast.
No question. Right.
Matt, Keegan, what did that mean to you, man? Because you started it too as well. You was there.
Yeah. Well, actually, y'all kidnapped me and brought me in, right? So it was, hey, Jay, it was Tad, Steve, and Henny. They kept, yo, you come to the meeting. I was like, what is a men's meeting? What are y'all doing?
What y'all doing there?
What's going on here?
Shout out to Henny.
Yeah. But I came and I first night, got fed. Got fed real nourishment from men, right? Not boys, not homies, but men, and that's why I kept coming back. Because I was immediately hooked, line and sinker, done. And so thanks for actually pursuing this soul, right? Because it helped me get into a space that helped me grow, that helped sharpen my iron, made me a better man, made me a better father, And so I thank you guys for even pursuing my soul.
Absolutely.
In that regard, because it's helped me a great deal.
That's good.
Helped me a great deal.
And Scott, that's what brotherhood is.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way forward. Brotherhood. We need each other, Scott. How do we effectively implement brotherhood, Scott? How do we implement that to if some brothers out here watching and want to emulate and create some positivity with the men's meeting or a gathering, you know, this is something easily to do. It didn't cost us anything to do this, to come together and do this, Scott. What's some steps that, you know, you can give some brothers to help them implement brotherhood?
First of all, in order for any relationship to flourish, you will always have to have a stance of understanding the person that's across from you. You're always going to need to be willing to say, I'm sorry, because they are not you. They are never going to see the world through your eyes. Everyone has a different set of lenses when they look out into the world.
Yeah.
If you can't apologize to the person that you love, that means that you're so selfish that you're not willing to free somebody that you care about.
Say that again, Scott.
Come on, Scott.
If you're not willing to apologize to a person that you call your brother, to a person that you love, that says that you are too selfish to set that person free.
Wow.
From any pain that they might be feeling that caused you not to be as close as you should be.
That's tough, Jay.
It's the fact.
Jay.
That's a bar.
Man,
It's heavy. That's heavy right there.
That's Grammy right there.
yeah.
We always look for somebody to apologize to us.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've said with my pastor several times, I've always said that forgiveness warrants no apology and vice versa. I don't need a person to apologize to me to forgive them because forgiveness is for me,
It is.
right?
Correct.
In order for me to forgive somebody, that's me allowing me to set myself free. But what about that person on the other side that can't do that? Do I care enough about that person to say, I apologize for hurting you? It's not a matter of whether or not we agree or disagree on what actually caused you the pain or the harm. The question is, am I willing to apologize for doing whatever it is that I did to hurt you?
And I'll say this, Jay. I'll go to you, Jay. It takes a lot of strength to apologize. Forgiveness is not, you can't be in a soft space and forgive. It takes more strength to apologize than it does to be mad.
Yep.
Because you have to get over what the person's done. You have to step outside of yourself. Man, I remember you have to work on forgiveness. Like that's not something you just wake up and do.
No,
You got to practice doing that. You got to practice it. And you also got to have the desire to want to forgive people.
Yep.
That's a different conversation. But Jay, how do we, again, in that statement, how do we build, what's the characteristics that we need to help forgive, to understand like, hey, listen, what are some steps that people can take that's, you know, maybe some experiences in your life that help you get over that?
I'll simply say that for me, and I'll be totally honest, forgiveness is a struggle for me. And I'm glad
Talk about it.
You know, I'm going to be totally honest. I've always said I've had some things done to me, and I can say in my heart that I forgive them, but I always look at them different. And that's just me being honest. And I've always said that the only real apology in my eyes is change behavior. Because I've had so many people come to me and say, oh, man, my bad, my bad, my bad. 10 years later, they're still saying my bad. And so that apology becomes empty to me. So to me, the only real apology is change behavior. Now, but I'm also called to operate in grace. I struggle. I'll be honest. Like, for me, like, when you cross me, because I always lead with respect and grace first. So when somebody crosses me, it's like, it's hard to get back. I'm just going to be honest. Like, that's a real struggle. And I'm not saying that that's right, but that's just where I am. And, you know, I'm definitely trying to get better. I think it comes with understanding. You speak of steps. I think, first of all, it's just trying to understand the dynamic of the person that you're dealing with.
Come on, that's good.
And the trauma that they bring to a situation and why they do the things that they do. Yeah. I think that that's important in understanding and learning how to forgive them, because I was a grown man before I realized that, man, everybody wasn't raised the same. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's hard. That's a hard, you know, I run into people like, man, they have no idea. Yeah. You know, and that's just the reality of it.
And I think that's the beautiful part about life is adjustments to people. I think that you can measure if love could be measured, you'll be judged by your adjustments in the seasons. Because people change in different seasons, even in friendships. Like, you got to watch how that other person is growing. Okay, if that person needs space, we don't need to hang out all the time. If that person needs to be close to me, like it's things we got to just learn adjustments. And you knowing where you are, Jay. That's the first, Keegan, awareness. In the forgiveness, in the process of forgiveness, awareness is so key. Because you'll suffer from what Jay's suffering for. You won't be sure if it's forgiveness, because forgiveness is in the sea of forgetfulness. That means that me and you still operate at the same level. I don't see you no other way. You don't see me, and farthest what you did, it no longer exists to me. That's total forgiveness. But again, forgiveness is not an event. It's not a one-time thing.
Not at all.
It's a process. So you're in the process of you're aware that you will know where you are. That's the process of forgiveness, correct? Keegan, awareness. Understand where you are. Understanding, hey, Mike can't be in your space right now, but when total forgiveness happens, I think you can move forward from that.
Yeah, and I'll say I don't think Jay is suffering from anything that nobody else suffers from.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? It's because I believe that forgiveness is for you, not for the other person, as what Scott says. It's very, very important to understand, because what happens is when you forgive, you don't have to forget, right? You should, but you don't have to, because here's what happens when you forgive. You're releasing yourself from carrying luggage around, because what happens is when you don't forgive, I'm going to start building up a spirit of distrust.
Yeah.
Now, my next relationship was going to probably be a good one for me. Like, you know what? I'm going to be a little cautious with this particular person. It didn't deserve that. But when you're carrying that luggage around because it's hard to forgive, you take it to the next relationship. That's why forgiveness is so important for the person, not for the other person.
I read in a book one time a while back that it simply said that to forgive someone is to free a captive, and it's not the other person.
Yep, it's you.
You're the captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's real, and again, like, that's just me being honest. Like, that's something that, that's one of my not so strong points.
Yeah.
I really struggle with it.
I struggle with it. I struggle with it too, and because I get to this point right here. Do I really want to let you off the hook? Right? That in quotes. I struggle with it myself. The one thing I learned was, because I didn't do it in the past, I don't like carrying around luggage.
Absolutely.
Me personally, I don't like carrying around personal luggage.
Yep.
That's why I just start figuring out ways how to let people go.
Well, for me, I mean, I don't hold grudges. I will say that, like, once it's done, it's done. But I believe people for who they are. And I believe people for who they show me that they are, because, again, I know the person that I am. And I know that how I'm going to come all the time. And if I'm wrong, I'm never too big of a person to come back and say, you know what?
That's big.
I was dead wrong. Even with my guys sometimes at work, like, they'll be wrong, but the way I reacted was wrong. So I'll come back and I'll say, look, man, I was wrong because I reacted the way that I fired a guy one time. I had to call him back. And I said, look, man, I was wrong because it was hot. I was tired.
Frustrated.
And I'm going to be honest, it was Friday. Yeah. It's like, look, man, and like he kept talking back, but he was just being who he always was.
Right.
But because of the moment, I flipped out. And I flipped out bad.
You bring up
And
another
I
good
called
point,
him,
too.
And he was like, man, I'm glad you called me. He said, I'll see you Monday.
Amen.
And it was done. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's real. You know what I mean? And that's
The other side of that, communication.
No doubt.
You think that just because I said something, I'm communicating, but effective communication is actually talking about your emotions and not talking through your emotions.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to talk through our emotions. We have a tendency to act out what we're feeling. And that doesn't communicate well to the other person. That sends a negative implication. But if I come to you, if you did something to me and I'm hurt, and I come to you and I say, you know what, in this particular situation, what you did, it actually hurt my feelings, man. It really did hurt me. It made me second guess or question this friendship that we have. Yeah. I don't know if it hurt my level of trust. That's effective communication, because I'm not acting out what I'm feeling, right? I'm not doing stuff behind your back and talking to 1,000 other people. I came to you and I told you exactly what I was feeling.
That's good.
And I think, we got to understand that everybody's flawed. That's the first piece.
Yeah.
Grace.
I don't get my friends based on their perfection.
Yep.
I get them based on the connection we have. Tap, we for life. Jay, we getting for life. Keegan, we for life. Scott, we getting for life. We building something. So when I have friends, you're my friends. So I'm not here for the perfection. We must punish the behavior, not the person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No question.
So if that person ain't good with this, Tap, don't go there with them. If you know that person irritates you in this space, don't go there with them. Just deal with them with the same level of veracity in the space that y'all can both stand each other.
Yeah.
That you know you ain't gonna put yourself being vulnerable again. And that's still total forgiveness. It's just caution.
Yep.
It's just understanding that behavior right there and you don't mix. So I'm actually, in all actuality, I'm being your friend. Because I'm telling you.
Simple terms. Yeah.
And listen, a little lighter note, but listen, that's good. Forgiveness. Man, that's good. I ain't even planning to talk about that, but my goodness, we potting with a purpose. Listen. But listen, speaking of knowing who you are, man, you know, a little lighter note, I did want to start off with talking about the NBA and the season's back, and it's absolutely phenomenal, man. Games of, man, all the games, every game you turn on is good. You know, there's in the NBA right now, there's no really bad team that's unwatchable because right now, Keegan, we're watching these guys come up from high school now. Most of these guys that are in the NBA right now, Tab, I knew Jalen Green from his sophomore year. Imani Bates, Mikey, right here.
Yeah.
So by the time, if Mikey goes to the worst team in the NBA, I'm watching.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right or wrong. Absolutely. I'm watching. So the NBA now, I think Keegan now has started to figure out how to build a product now. Because every team is watchable at least.
Yeah.
And you can't really even tell now, Tap. Speaking of telling, the New York Knicks.
Better talk about them Knicks.
Because I was going
Shout
there.
out to the Knicks.
But even now, the Knicks, the games feels like the 90s when I was a little boy watching the games.
The Garden is back.
The man.
John Starks.
I wouldn't
Man.
go that far.
The
but
Garden is absolutely
I
back.
would not
It's-
go
It's
that
all the way
I
back.
won't get, listen, I
all the
won't
way
disagree
back.
with that.
Shout out to Coach Tibbs.
He brought that mentality
Yes,
there.
he did.
Coach, Thibodeau, I like him. I think y'all look like the 2011 Bulls with that Derrick Rose team, that Luau Dane team. Who else was on that team? It was Derrick Rose. It was a couple other guys.
Yeah.
I forgot the dude's name.
What's
His name?
team, right?
Taj Gibson.
Taj Gibson, yeah.
I think Kirk Heinrich.
Yeah, they had a nice squad on that
did.
team.
Out there. What's the dude, man?
What team?
The Bulls that played on the Bulls. He in Miami now.
You ain't talking Jimmy Butler, are you?
Yeah, he was in, or was it
Yeah.
the year?
Not he wasn't there in those Derrick Rose
Yeah,
years. Derrick Rose years. He came
was-
after.
No, I think
He was there.
I think he was there
He was there.
1 year with Derrick
Yeah.
Rose.
But I don't think Derrick Rose, he wasn't the same. I think it was after them two years.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Real
He
quick.
kind of took over when Rose went down.
He did.
Yeah, that's true.
We know that Keegan is from New Jersey, right?
God.
I just need to ask a question, right?
I need to eat
So
step in.
the fact that the New Jersey Nets are now in Brooklyn, is Keegan now a Brooklyn Nets fan? I
Don't
need
look
that to
down
go on
now.
record.
Get up. Don't do
I need that
that.
to go on record.
Yeah, this on camera, big fella.
No, I'm not a Brooklyn Nets fan because the Brooklyn Nets are not the New Jersey Nets. That's like saying a Charlotte Hornets fan should be a New Orleans Pelicans fan.
Yeah, nah.
Were you a Charlotte Hornets fan when there was LJ and Alonzo Mourning?
I like
That's
that.
a no. Because you didn't say yeah right there.
I didn't dislike him.
But you are a Zion
Dale
Williams
Curry.
and Pelicans fan.
Yes,
right?
I am.
Okay.
We got-
okay.
Who was that?
Who? LJ?
No, you just said a name.
Oh, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it again.
Who was that?
I don't
All
want
right,
to say
so
it
listen.
again. Because
right,
Jay said
Do you
a
want me to
fat
address
man
it?
can't trade him.
Do you want me to address it?
Jay said a fat man can't trade him.
We doing that? Wow.
That's what Jay said.
Wow.
That's what Jay said.
No
So I'm
pun
gonna go ahead and say this, guys, before we even transition, because I'm gonna say it. Okay, Zion, listen, my boy.
Gotta get it together, man.
Zion, everybody know at this table, everybody know probably watching, I'm the biggest Zion fan in the world, probably. I gotta be honest with you, my boy. Do the work. You know what to do. Just do the work. That's it. I know what you're capable of.
Thanks.
Right.
I know it's your league. Everybody else ain't got to see it right now.
Sean Kemp.
Stop it. Stop it. Zion,
I've seen
listen,
that before.
I'm going to say this right now.
It'll lock
I'm going to
in
look
fast,
right
man.
into the camera. Make sure you zoom in when I say this. Duke Zion is equivalent to 92 Jordan.
So now you're being disrespectful.
So
I want to say it
Now
again.
you're being
So-
disrespectful.
Duke Zion is equivalent to 92 Jordan.
now, gentlemen,
I'm just going to be honest with you.
Gentlemen.
You can mark this down.
Move his cup, man.
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. Hey, listen.
Molly in there?
Nah, bro. Listen, bro. Zion is a mix between
wow.
LeBron and
Call
Jordan.
it a Jesus juice.
Watch what I'm telling you, bro. Listen, I ain't doing no
I
hot
really
takes.
like Zion.
I'm telling you.
Bro.
Zion is the most unique athlete to ever play sports.
classic.
Unique.
Price cognac.
I'm telling you. I'm just being honest. So I ain't gonna even go there. I mean, y'all trying to kill me. Speaking of going
You're
there,
the
crazy-
same guy that said Future was the best hip hop artist ever. So your credit score is like 150. So stop it. Stop it.
I ain't coming off of that.
At the bottom? That bottom now?
That's the story you get for
Listen,
just having your
still got some
name
ways
on the
to go.
application.
Listen,
Man.
and I'm just saying that Duke Zion. I ain't talking about what he is now, but if he gets back, all I'm saying is, listen, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say. The last thing I'm gonna say is,
He's actually carrying another guy with him.
really
Same guy, man.
keep the same energy. Keep the same energy. Really, I can't believe you. Everything I said about you, I take it back. I take it back.
I'm just saying, Julius Randle, he shaved some of that baby fat off. You know?
Now, Julius Randle playing well.
Yeah, he's
Playing very
balling.
well.
He's playing well.
He's
I think
balling last year.
the New York
He is
Knicks, honestly, Tab has put a product on the floor
About a year away from really being a real contender.
to actually win a chip. The chip.
I mean, it
think
could be
they
a
got
real
a year,
contender.
though.
We're about a year away. One more superstar.
I say two more. I'll take 2 more years. Giannis gonna tear the league up for a minute. Then Brooklyn, KD ain't going nowhere. Kyrie coming back. Y'all think Kyrie coming back?
Yeah.
Coming back where?
That's the question. Where?
To
That's what I'm saying. To Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
Let's talk about it for a second.
They need him.
They need him.
Let's just be honest. They need him.
They need him. And you know why they need him? And this is going to show you. And I know people don't want. I know people going to start to come to the realization of this. But maybe they need him because Kyrie Irving is a much better offensive player than James Harden. Maybe James Harden was getting 15 extra points off of fouls. And we're seeing that this year. Maybe he's being targeted, but I've been watching the games. And he looks, I'm not going to say he looks pedestrian, but I'm going to say that there's an adjustment that was made. And it's exploiting
Easy.
some
We're
of
only like 5, 6 games in.
I know.
Relax.
And I'm not
Relax.
saying he
It's
can't
all
make to be adjustment. I'm just saying if you replace him with Kyrie, I think they win more games because Kyrie doesn't need.
Replace?
No, I'm
They
saying
need
if you
both of them.
if James Harden was sitting out and Kyrie was playing, they would probably be 5-0.
One thing about James Harden is the fact that he actually progressively gets better as the year goes
Yes,
in.
he does.
That's true.
He usually doesn't
That's true.
start off super hot.
But he's
coming
never been
into
up
it.
against this though.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Scott.
But
As
he's
the
never
year
been.
goes on,
The
he's gonna
rule
progressively
change.
get better.
This rule change is real.
When has Kyrie started slow?
It's a good question.
That's a really good question.
He hasn't.
Are we really going to act like those first couple of years in Cleveland didn't exist? Because I remember Kyrie from Cleveland, too. That was very slow he started.
He had no help in Cleveland.
Did he play well? Did he not?
He
play
played
well? The
excellent.
team was garbage.
The team was
you
trash.
bugging.
Did he not play well?
He was good. He couldn't overcome
played
that.
well.
And no young player comes in and learns and wins like that.
I'm just saying, having Kevin Durant on your team, having James Harden on your team, makes your offense a little easier.
Nah, not with Kyrie.
Yes, it
you
does.
bugging. Not with Kyrie.
Yes, it does. It makes
Listen,
your
bro.
offense easier.
Kyrie is a magician.
Was
In
he
fact,
a magician in Boston?
listen, bro. Other
Was he a
than
magician in Boston?
yes, he was. He just didn't
Was
care
he?
about winning.
Was he?
How many championships?
He
did
wanted to be the
Cleveland win?
man, and Tatum and Brown was there.
When Kyrie was there?
Yeah. How many did they win when he was there?
Just the one LeBron got, right?
Who put him over the edge?
LeBron?
Were we watching the same series?
Whoa, Jay, don't do that now.
Wait.
Jay, whoa now.
Whoa. Look at the last
Jay,
Big shot.
Steve, you are
don't do that,
He
Jay.
pulling no shot.
Big time
That last game,
make big time plays and big time
Blocked by
shots.
James.
in shots.
but that
Blocked
last,
by Jay. You heard that phrase?
Shot.
Blocked
that
by
last game,
James.
Kyrie took that game over.
Steve,
Listen,
you have
big time
argued
players.
that Kyrie shot was the best in
It
history.
is.
Exactly.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
You argued that point.
But come on, LeBron was 12 and 10 for the last 3 games. Come on, man. What are we talking about here?
Does it matter if you don't get over the hump?
52 years Cleveland didn't have a championship.
Doesn't matter who hit the winning shot.
Blocked by James. Blocked by. We don't see no shot by Kyrie. We say blocked by James.
Man,
am I lying?
Is that marketing?
Whatever it is.
I think the block stopped 2 points. The shot made 3. I'm just saying.
It did.
Just the math works in that
Kyrie is a
favor.
dog, bro.
I'm just saying.
I know he gets a lot of bad press, but he's a great ball player.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I will agree that he needs to pipe down. But again, I like his social agenda. Kyrie has done a lot. I think, can he be a little dramatic sometimes? Depends on how you look at it. But I think he gets a bad rep because he's not one of those that'll just shut up and play ball.
Yeah.
And that's what
Maybe
people
he
don't
should.
like.
That's why I don't trust him.
Oh, man, don't do that.
That's why I don't
The
trust
last thing you ever want to do, though, you don't want to be a liability.
I don't trust Kyrie to be available. Kyrie will not be available.
As a leader,
There's too much going on.
As a leader of your team, though.
outside of basketball going on for Kyrie.
as a leader of your team, you don't want to be a liability. It's become a situation where he's become a
I can
liability
hear
to the
somebody
team.
in my ear right now. Your best ability is your availability.
That's true.
Yep.
That's your best ability.
And that's
became
And I can't
reliability.
trust Kyrie to be available. You see them boys out there giving their all right now, and they losing a couple of games.
yeah.
But if Kyrie was there, they wouldn't be going through that.
That wouldn't be.
That's
It's
a
not
fact.
his choice.
It is his choice.
No, it's not his choice.
It is his choice.
what you mean,
He
Jay?
better not never get that vaccine then.
Ooh, here we go
I'm
now.
gonna say that.
We
Because if he's
potting
that strong,
up.
he better not ever get the vaccine.
I'm going to make one
If he's
statement.
that strong against the vaccine, he better not ever get the vaccine and play this year.
So
This is a
I have a
podcast,
question.
ladies
So
and
you're
gentlemen.
saying that
I'm saying that.
because he won't get the vaccine, then he's the bad guy and a bad teammate.
He's already backed off of that. He's already said, I wasn't saying that I was against the
never
vaccine.
said that he was against
It's
the
about-
vaccine, though.
So what are you talking about? You're trying
He
to
said
stand
that
for
he
the
wasn't-
people who are underappreciated or who don't have the voice? You're standing for
from the start.
KD's like, I came to Brooklyn to play with you.
the
Harden said, I
start.
came to Brooklyn to play with you. What is this you doing right now?
The man
what are you doing?
It's not like he
I can't
quit playing
understand.
basketball.
I
They
will-
changed the rules in the middle of
I
the
will
game.
respect it more, Kyrie, if you were against the vaccine.
Good
You
point.
don't want the vaccine. Now you're standing for the people who are. What are we talking
Jay,
about right
you got to hit back.
Listen,
Hitting hard. He hitting hard.
Originally, Kyrie said, "I'm not." He never said he was anti-vaccine. He said that I'm not going to go and take a vaccine just because they're telling me to take it. Right? That's all he said. He never said that he was against the vaccine.
What is the principle behind that, though?
It doesn't matter.
You leaving
It's
your
a-
teammates hanging.
But what I'm
around,
saying
bro.
is, Jake, let me ask you the question: is there an obligation? So Kyrie can afford to do that because of the fans, because of the people who watch your product,
careful
for the people
what
who
we're
pay
saying
for
now.
your product. No, what I'm saying.
Can you say the truth? Kyrie can do that because he got the bag already.
What I'm saying is the same. What I'm saying is withholding that gift. It's
Andrew
a
Wiggins.
thing to watch.
He's not withholding
I'm
anything.
saying,
they're
but what-
stopping him from playing. See, I think that we're painting the wrong narrative. They're
okay, go
telling
ahead.
him that he can't play. He's not saying I'm not going to show up. He's not saying I'm going to stay at home in the bed. They're telling him
Is he
that
gonna
he
take the
can't
vaccine?
play.
But what is the team
I don't-
concept,
That's
though?
his business.
Okay,
That's his
but the
personal
thing is,
decision.
if he's against the vaccine, I'm totally with him on that. If that's it.
Why does he
But
have
if
to
you're
be against
flip
it?
flopping because you want to make sure you're all the way healed for this season, and you don't want to play some games, so you're going to wait till closer to
Did he-
December
did
to
he-
come back, or closer to the All-Star break to come back and
Hey, get
play.
this.
Did he
I
say
don't
that?
respect it.
Did he say that?
Let's talk.
Did he say that?
Let's talk. What are we doing?
I'm
He
gonna-
talking now. Let's go.
Are we waiting?
I'm going to
Boy, that hat got you. Boy, that hat got you on one today.
Listen.
Keegan, what are we talking
You
about?
talking that shit?
Jay, you better. Jay, you better get up.
That's all I'm saying, Jay.
Down goes Wilder.
You know that bullshit. 'Cause you
Down
know,
goes
he
Wilder.
He healed himself. He's shaky. He don't know. He want to make sure
Listen.
the off season that he had. He want to make sure his bones
Tap.
and stuff is good to make that run.
I preface
get it,
everything.
but
I
don't-
preface
don't put it on
everything
the
with
vaccine,
saying
though.
I don't know what this man's agenda is, but what he said was when we're talking about the game right now, to say that Kyrie is like leaving his teammates out there, I'm not going to get on that train. I'm just not, and that's the only thing I'm saying. I don't
The only reason I
know.
wouldn't.
I even said that sometimes Kyrie
Jay,
You know,
I'm with you.
he's a
I
little
wouldn't
bit
get
too
on
much
that-
Kyrie.
I wouldn't get on that train now either if he is against the vaccine.
But he
If
doesn't
for
have to be
personal
against
reason,
something.
He can be against it. I'm okay with that. You know what? That's how you feel, brother. Stand on that.
What if
I
he's-
want you to stand on that, but do not play around with. I'm trying to stand in for the marginal people.
I don't know
and
anything
the
about
people
that.
who-
I didn't hear that.
who
I
they don't
can't
have a
speak to
voice.
that honestly because I didn't hear that. But what I will say is that if I want to say, if I simply say that, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not convinced yet, and I don't know if this is a good idea for myself, my family, whatever now.
fine.
That's
I
nothing
can
wrong
respect
with
it.
that.
I
And
can
that's all I'm
respect that.
saying.
I can
I don't know
respect
what his
that.
personal agenda. I
Listen,
can't speak to that.
But Jay, we better not be talking about Kyrie having a good game in December.
Why not?
Because he's changed his mind. What are we doing?
So a man
What are
has
we
no
doing?
ability to grow, develop, and change his mind?
He grew a month later.
Maybe.
Okay, I get it.
And that's
I
what I'm
get
saying.
it.
I always
get it.
say
I
the
respect
most
it.
unpopular slave was which one?
Stop. This is where we going.
Which was always the one that wanted to go away. The one that
The one that
decided
bucked.
that they
The one that
wanted
bucked.
to
The
buck
one
the
that
system.
So are you trying to say Tap
Always
is
the
a we
most
sick boss
unpopular.
slave?
I didn't say that.
And Tap,
I'm just saying. I'm
just saying,
looking at Kyrie's
Tap
history.
might be the
we sick boss.
I'm looking at Kyrie's history, right? I remember
I give you all
Kyrie
that.
said.
Plug in my
I
mouth
see-
this
you remember
whole
when
time.
Kyrie said that the earth was flat. You remember when Kyrie said the earth was flat?
What's wrong with that?
It's some people who believe that though.
He went away from that. He came back and said,
So
hey,
what?
I was wrong. The earth is not flat. It's
That's
round.
honorable.
What is honorable about? You,
So, Tap,
your whole
you're-
life you knew the earth was round.
How did he know that?
Through your teaching. So you researched for yourself within a couple of months. Now you came to yourself and
Maybe.
said, you know what? I'm tripping with that.
But Tap, we gotta get a brother.
But let me go to Keegan for a second. Does that speak to? Hold on.
None of this shit.
But listen,
That's a whole lot of smoke.
I ain't gonna sick tap you on today. I don't want no smoke with you. I promise you, I won't get no debate with you.
Because I
I'm
kinda
gonna
low-key
give
like
him a
Brooklyn.
I'm gonna give him a
Jay,
haircut.
I'll be honest, hit you with a left
I
hook.
kinda low-key like
The
Brooklyn.
team
He's
needs
rocking
No,
Brooklyn
bro.
right now.
But go ahead,
I'm a
go
Knicks
ahead.
fan, though.
Good question.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let him keep rocking. Let him keep rocking.
Yeah, there's fire behind all that smoke. I'm
Go
not
ahead, you
getting
up.
involved.
But does this speak? And I'm trying to, decipher, through Tap and Jay's discussion. Are we talking about freedom of the mind and being able to make your own decisions?
See, I think that's what we're speaking to, and I
Yeah.
think that so many people don't believe that they believe that just because he has a job, that all of his other choices go out the window. He has no choices, and he should just
That's
jump-
good, Jay.
You just got
That's
got
a
the
good
total
one.
line.
But
And
see-
I don't believe that. I'm
but-
sorry, I don't believe that.
But that's where I think you and Tapas have two different discussions.
Right.
yeah.
It was because
And that's
to your
what I'm
point,
saying.
yeah, because
I agree with you on
let's
that.
be clear.
That's how he
He's
feels.
a mandingo. He's a
Absolutely.
mandingo,
Yeah.
and so
Break that down.
You know what a mandingo is. You are an owned warrior for sport.
Come on.
Plain and simple.
I just want people to know.
Highly paid
I
one.
like that.
Highly
Say it
paid
again,
one.
Keegan.
Highly paid one, but you are an owned warrior for sport.
That's good.
That's all it is. And so by you being a highly paid one does not change the fact that you're owned.
Oh, exactly.
Because they can trade you like an asset for something else. So when you start to buck the system, it creates problems. And to Tap's point, your point about he got the bag, he can do it. You are absolutely correct because Andrew Wiggins did what?
He
He
folded.
bowed down.
He got that heroin.
Yeah.
He did.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Hey, he did that thing right there. Got
Tied
over here.
us up tight, right? So
Yo, he came out
yeah.
that quick.
Quick.
Well, you know,
But you know what?
a couple more dollars.
Wiggins never said. All he
Kyrie's gonna
said
get
was,
that
"It's not your
heroin, too."
business whether I'm going to take that vaccine or
He
not."
did. But where I'm going with this is to your point, I think the position you're on is they are pushing something. We talked about mandates before, right? They're mandating it in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we got to get sometimes back away from just the basketball because to your point, Tap, I think you're right about the basketball piece.
Right.
But bigger issue is someone's freedom being leveraged because they want to get paid.
Nah, because you have a choice.
If
Now you
Kyrie-
mad? Now you mad at him making a choice?
You're upset when you're for making
I'm
So
saying
you
you
mad
got
about
a
the
choice.
choice.
So don't get mad and have people protest outside of Barclays.
Kyrie didn't organize the protest,
The team
bro.
is not going to pay you. Don't get mad.
But is it up to the person making the stance or doing what Kyrie's doing? Because I have no problem with that. But you also got to understand atmosphere and collateral damage. See, we can't underestimate the value that Kyrie brings. We're talking about him.
Yeah.
Kyrie's box office. What that means is whenever people in their time alone where they don't have to go work for nobody else, people choose sports. You're not, and you go and sit down. And when you watch your favorite players, it's an endorphin. It's something inside of you that attracts you to that if you like that sport. And you like that player. Tap, you love Dak. You're a Falcon fan. You a Giants fan. Who you a fan of?
I'm a Hornets and Panthers fan.
Oh, you a JV fan. I'm just kidding. I like the Hornets are fire.
I'm from here, so I got to rep.
honest.
With the Panthers going what they do right now, yeah, you better say the Hornets. I'm just saying.
He tried to.
Yeah,
You saw that, right?
I got to rep where I'm from, man.
Hey man, y'all made me lose my point. What was I talking about, man?
And I also like the Panthers.
What was I talking about? Y'all made me lose my point, man.
Yeah. I gotta rep where I'm from, though.
No question.
What was I talking about? Y'all made me lose my point, bro. You've been potting like hell tonight, my guy.
I'm born and raised here,
What
man.
talk about was the fact that Cam Newton got the vaccine. We'll talk about that later.
So you should give him a call, Kyrie. I'm
We'll
just
talk
saying.
about that later.
Have him call Kyrie.
Whatever my point was, it was probably fire, but I don't remember. So
Because you've been on one.
I made
Yeah,
you
I've been on
fumble
one
on that
day.
one.
Yeah, you did.
I smacked
That
the ball
Hornets
at the hand
was
on
a
that one.
curveball.
I'll simply say that with Kyrie being, he is box office. So why not him? Because, again, if Kyrie
that's
played,
my point. I'm glad you
if
said
Kyrie played for the Hornets, how many Hornets players are not vaccinated? You have no idea. It's irrelevant. So they made the same choice that Kyrie made.
that's good, Jay.
You get what I'm saying? There's no difference in the choice. It's just that in the area that Kyrie played, in the middle of his country, they changed the rules.
Tap, you celebrated too early.
They changed the rules.
You came back with
5-yard
you
line.
celebrated too early. You came back.
Red zone.
I love this. I love this.
Yeah,
So now you
bop,
got,
bop, bop.
and I love the city I live in. I love the city I live in. Charlotte is a great city.
It is.
Don't start.
But it is not New York.
bro.
So not for one moment are we going to talk about Charlotte, comparing it to New York.
It's a lot of
the
New Yorkers
endorsements
here
that
in
you get in New York compared to Charlotte.
Yeah,
All right?
it's a different
different
atmosphere.
market.
It's the Mecca. I mean, come on, it's New York.
So do not compare
What about LA?
Kyrie
What about
coming to
LA?
Charlotte.
Let's play that game.
Okay,
How
LA,
many
same
Lak-
thing.
How many Lakers aren't
They,
vaccinated?
they all vaccinated.
You sure about that?
I believe all the
What
Lakers.
is it? Who revealed that?
I don't know.
I think they're about 100. They almost
I
like
don't-
100%
I can't speak.
vaccinated.
But I
playing
remember my
devil's
point
advocate.
now. When I was talking about people
I'm not
choose.
sure about that. Don't quote me on that.
Hey, bro.
I did research.
People choose. Exactly. Hey, listen, Tim. Listen, bro. What's up, my guy? But listen, Kyrie, he does it at such a high level that people choose their piece and to watch him, and it gives them something to watch. That's how strong his game is. So when you get to that level, we got to understand Kyrie's just not a normal player. Like, to whom much is given much is required. On every level, that's a principle. That's not just a Christian thing or Bible. That goes for any atmosphere. To whom much is given, much is required.
Are you okay with Calvin Johnson retiring prematurely?
Because Detroit destroyed him. Kyrie is in a luxury situation. He's
But
in a Mecca.
Could Calvin still play and demand a trade like everybody else does? Just don't put on Kyrie what you won't put on nobody else.
I'm not.
That's all I want to say.
No, I'm just saying. No. What I'm saying is,
pick and
I would
choose.
say that. No, watch this. I would say that for LeBron. I would say that for Jordan. No, what I'm saying.
No, in his
When
prime,
LeBron doesn't like
in prime,
going on,
Calvin
he
Johnson
just
was
up and
the
play
best
for
wide
another
receiver.
team.
In
No
the league.
question.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Calvin Johnson.
No, in his prime, in his prime,
absolutely
he was the
top of
best
the
wide
game.
receiver in
He
the league.
was.
In his
but
prime.
it was organizational stuff with him.
Oh no doubt. But to Steve's point, he retired
Yeah.
prematurely.
But he stood on what he believed.
That's
I have
all
no
it's
problem.
about.
Yeah.
As long as Kyrie stands on what he believes.
He
You
by
don't
him
want to see him back in
standing,
defense.
No wishy-wash. No
Tell-
wishy-wash.
standing
I
on
think you
what
got
he
a motive,
believes
my guy.
is making a
I don't think
decision
you-
when he wants to make
Oh,
it.
damn,
There's nothing
you're
wrong
going
with
hard
it.
against
He
Kyrie.
really is. He really is.
Because
I think the Knicks your motive.
I'm looking at.
I think you're a Brooklyn fan.
Yeah, I think he.
No, I'm a Knicks fan. But I actually like KD. I think he gets a raw deal. I think KD gets a raw deal. And I think that one of the things that's stopping KD from going to that next level is the availability of Kyrie. Harden is there. He might not be playing that great, but he's there. He's locked in. Kyrie, he just has too much off-the-court stuff going on. And I can understand from a basketball mind, like, KD just wants to play ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I think
Hooper.
this is the only thing that I hold against Kyrie is that he's frustrated. He's frustrated at Kyrie, like, and I don't know if this is his feelings, but I think to a certain extent he's like, man, we're the favorites. Going into the season, we were the favorites to win the
But
championship.
KD said he was good with it. He said, I understand.
But
He had to. He had to say that. He had to say that up front.
KD's
He
not
had
going
to
to
say
say
that.
nothing crazy.
Yeah.
He's not going to say nothing crazy in that situation because Kyrie is fragile.
I'll
And you
say
don't want to
this.
lose Kyrie for the whole season.
If KD wins without Kyrie, Kyrie might be. It might.
Oh,
be,
he out of there. What you mean?
It might be done.
He
For
be
him.
out of there. I mean, KD's foot was on the
If he
line
doesn't
last
come
year.
back this year,
His foot was on the line.
they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna
So-
trade him to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, before we transition, man, we have to learn each other's freedoms, new freedoms. We haven't seen each other in these spaces a lot. It's new to us.
Absolutely.
We're used to structure. And if we're being totally honest, some of us are so used to being told what to do, we don't know what freedom looks like. That's a process. These conversations, I think, move us to and through our process in helping us understand somebody like a Kyrie, because it's kind of bigger than sports now. It's taking on a life of his own, and it's speaking to more issues. And we don't know Kyrie's motive, and I'm in no way, form, or fashion comparing Kyrie to Muhammad Ali. But if you go back in the day, there's something to be sacrificed.
True.
His team, the people who's getting paid back then, they lost their jobs when he did that. So I understand KD wanted to play ball, but sometimes you don't get to choose history. History chooses you.
Yeah.
You know, in situations like
I
that,
get
that.
that's a
Respect
different
his choice.
perspective.
I think
It's a-
we go a little bit too far because I think the legacy that someone like a Muhammad Ali standing up for his people and his rights of what he believes is totally different than what
oh yeah,
Kyrie's
I'm
doing.
not comparing it. I'm just saying the
And
I'm saying the
not
sacrifice.
compare those two.
No, I'm not comparing that. I'm comparing the sacrifice. Listen, we've seen so much in this society. We're not affected by it. So, if he ain't losing everything he got and down in the dumps, we don't call it a sacrifice. Because he still got money. Oh, you ain't making the sacrifice.
We don't know what that man's financial
don't know what it
situation
is.
is.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to assume that. So what I'm saying is there's multiple ways to look at people. We talked about friendship. That's why you punish the behavior, not the person, because there will always be, like in this thing, you don't dislike everything that Kyrie's doing.
I actually
There's just
like
certain
Kyrie
things.
a lot as a player.
Absolutely.
But
I just think I want him to focus on the court. I just want him to do that part right there. And I understand that he may feel as if he has a social charge, more power to him. But if that's what you're going to stand on that. Because it looks shaky when you flip-flop and you go back and forth. If you're really against the vaccine, that's all I'm saying. Stand on that. Become a martyr. We've seen Colin Kaepernick stand for what he believed in.
Lost everything.
Right?
That's good,
So
Tam.
we don't have no. If Colin Kaepernick came back into the league, not ever kneeling again, we would be like, "Well, man, what was all the kneeling for? If you back in the league and you ain't
Jay,
kneeling
look
no
at
more,
Jay.
you didn't let somebody get you back in the shape." But the same thing with Kyrie. I feel like if he's taking a stand because he's against, and I'm not one that's going to force the vaccine on anyone. I'm not going to force the vaccine on anyone.
Jay,
I
can I
feel
bet-
like if you really
I bet the
feel
house
that
that
way-
you agree. You don't agree.
Go ahead, Jay. Say what you want to say.
I'm not saying anything.
Please say what you want to say, Jay.
But
The
you know what?
Colin Kaepernick thing.
That's a whole different.
You're not going to give Colin Kaepernick that, but you want to give Kyrie.
No,
You see what I'm saying?
I'm not against him, but like, how is he a martyr?
This is my point. This is
How?
my point.
How?
He's
When he was a starting quarterback,
Yeah.
he stood up. When they sit his ass to the end of the bench, then he was on his knees.
But he reserves the right to change his
He
mind.
can change his mind. I have no problem with that.
So are you trying to say Colin Kaepernick
I have
situation?
no problem with anything that Kaepernick did, but I'm not going to make him here and Kyrie here. is what I'm saying. To me, it's the same thing.
How
if
y'all
you
see
have
that?
a conviction and you stand on it, it is what it is. I don't care what your conviction is.
How do you see
But I
Colin
think
Kaepernick?
when you
then?
make us,
How do you see Colin Kaepernick?
I'm not gonna say.
I need it. You brought it up.
Hold on. First thing we got to say.
But I just want to know. I'm honest because I just want to know how you feel. Because here's the thing: we don't have to be arrested by one thought process.
I don't
just
think
because
that-
everybody thinks. I'm gonna go right back to you. Just because everybody thinks he's a hero, some people may not think he might be the villain to some people. So everybody have different perspectives. This is why we have conversations. This is why we build it. But Jay, that's why I'm asking you. What do you think about Colin Kaepernick?
I don't have a problem. I was all with it, but Cap took the bag and he walked away. He took a settlement, and he wasn't a starting quarterback anymore. Now, was he better than most of the backup quarterbacks in the league? Absolutely. Was he blackballed? Absolutely. I believe that. But to me, when you look at the whole situation, my only problem is post NFL, he took a payout. And it's like if the cause is the cause, and Cap does a lot of stuff like financial or whatever under the radar. So I'm not going, and I think that he's definitely with the cause. But I think that once he took you can't pay me enough to back away from my conviction.
I don't think that was the case. I think that they took away his platform.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
No star is a star unless you give him a stage.
Look at that man's social media and following. I think he has a platform. He's not in the NFL, but I think he has a platform. And I think that what he did was, he created. I think he did what he intended to do, and I appreciate him for that. I'm not discounting that at all. But to me, your money, if I believe so passionately about something, your money is no good to me. If I can't, if you're going to push me out, your money is no good to me. I'm coming after your neck, and I'm never going to let up.
But I think
your money is no good.
There's
to
a
me.
lot of different things going on, Joe Jay.
And that's just my opinion.
There's a lot of different things going on with Cap, right? Cap believed in something so much.
He could have kept playing.
He was willing to forgo his passion
Yeah.
in life. His passion in life was football at that particular time.
No question.
But I'm not sure when he was a starter if the Black Lives Matter movement was going on, if a lot of the injustices were going on at the height of it, because I think that when he started to kneel, that was at the height of the injustice. Yeah. So I'm not sure when he started if that was.
I kind of brought that up as
a
joke.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think that he was all in for the cause. My only point was just being that he took the payout, and for me, like, if you will not let me play ball, right? If you're gonna push me out of the league, then I'm never letting up on you. Because if I'm so strongly convicted about and that's my only thing. I'm not against him taking the money. Don't get me wrong. I get it. You know what I mean? But to me, that's where the disconnect comes from. And I appreciate him bringing awareness to the issues. But to me, when I look at Kyrie, it's the same thing. At 20-something years old, you're willing to forego millions of dollars. Just because, again, we don't know what this man's convictions are. I don't buy into the tabloids or whatever. I'm just saying, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Kyrie is a little bit too much Kyrie sometimes.
Has he lost money yet?
I think and I'm not sure about that, but I know that
he will lose money.
He will lose it. Yeah,
Home
every
games,
game
he
that they
will.
play,
He's gonna get paid like
yeah.
15.
Okay.
But you can critique the details, even of a movement.
Yeah,
the civil rights was highly scrutinized. Doesn't take away
That's good, Steve.
what they were actually trying to do. Keegan, what's your perspective on Kaepernick?
I think I'm gonna go through a couple of people in that regard. For me, you will be biased by what the cause means to you.
Absolutely.
That's good, Keegan.
So when you talk about Muhammad Ali, he was drafted. I'm not going to fight in your war because I don't believe in the war. And he gave up everything for it to the extent he went to jail.
Yep.
Right? So just from a comparison perspective, to your point about sacrifice, Kyrie is not about to go to jail for what's going on. And if Brooklyn let him go, somebody will pick him up, right? So I don't want to make that comparison. Jim Brown spoke out on a lot of things, and is still being scrutinized by white America because of what he speaks out about.
He retired early.
Right? He had to retire early, right? So for me, the causes of those individuals, even Colin Kaepernick, I stopped watching football for a year because the Giants would not pick him up, and because of what Mara said about why they didn't pick him up. So I boycotted football for a year because I believe in that particular cause. So I think the question I got to ask myself is the causes being pushed worthy of my sentiment, and then how do I feel about that particular cause? Because that might create my passion for supporting that individual. I don't know if Kyrie has a social charge. He might be using that so he's not scrutinized individually. I think, let's make it simple for Kyrie. Like a lot of people, he does not want someone telling him what to do with his body. Let's put basketball to a side. Let's put social change to a side for a second. He does not want somebody telling him what to do with his body. And I go back to my point about Mandingos. When you are owned, you have to either fall in line or they will take you out to the back and shoot you. And if he's not careful, I think they will try to make him a particular symbol because he is box office.
He is.
And what they tell you from a Willie Lynch perspective, you take the loudest, baddest nigga,
Beat him within an inch of his life.
you tar him,
Feather
Feather
him.
him.
Come on.
take him out to the courtyard, tie him to horses, smack each horse in the ass and pull him aside. And then it's not for him. It's for every other slave to see what will happen to them.
Absolutely.
So if we're not careful, he could be the next symbol from that perspective. But if you want to keep it just in basketball, to Tap's point, I believe in what Tap is saying. Your availability is everything. Because somebody left a really good situation to be playing ball with you, and that was KD.
A really good situation.
And that's the dichotomy of this whole thing. Like that's the hard part of it. You see the team aspect, but there's a human
It's
side
a human
to it.
aspect that we have to
You know
respect.
what I mean? And there's people affected by
You
the
gotta
decisions
respect
you
Kyrie
make.
from that perspective.
That's why I say to whom much is given, Scott, much is required. But what I want to go here, man, this is a special. That was a good conversation too, guys. Man, that was good.
That came out of nowhere.
It did.
That
See,
came
I
out
know,
of nowhere.
I know you're
completely
going
out of
there, right? So, my real quick question. When we watch sports, right, sometimes it's to escape from society,
Come on.
from reality, right?
Come on.
Do you want reality spilling over into sports? Because if I look at sports to get away from society's, the craziness going on in society, right? And I just want to watch this for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know what I'm saying, take my mind, or 3 hours to take my mind off of what's going on. I had a rough, stressful week at work. Do I want to hear about all the off-the-court stuff, or do I just want to watch the game?
I think you need to.
I think if you don't do that, then you don't humanize the people. I think you see them only as a product,
Right.
And that's what he's talking about.
Yep.
We're getting out of the mindset of being owned, being controlled, not just being the people you can just use, take apart when you want to, trade when you want to, do what you want to. It looks absolutely ridiculous, and even people come on to the media to talk about black brothers in big media, and talk down on them.
So why is that not allowed? Okay, why is that not allowed in corporate America?
What do you mean?
So people have a lot of strong views, right, about societal views, right? When they go to work in corporate America, right, are they allowed to express themselves that way?
Usually not.
No.
Right.
No.
So, okay, because you're getting paid, right, by someone that's not really, they don't want that, right? They want you to be focused on this right here. So the owners of an NBA team or an NFL team or any other sports team pay you to do a particular job, right?
Agreed.
So pretty much they don't want all the other stuff that comes along with it as well, right? They want you to be squeaky clean. They want to invest in a product, and you are a product. Just like he said, you are a mandingo when you sign up for that. You are that.
But there's the other side of that.
You're a self-contract.
Here's the other side of that. Yes, you are a product when you're on a football field.
Right.
Yes, you're a product when you're on a basketball court. But at the same
Corporate
token,
America too. You're a product too.
but the same token, when I work for a company,
Mm-hmm.
nobody else sees me.
You have
When
a
I work,
platform.
when I'm working in a building, and I'm sitting in a cubicle every day, nobody else cares what I have to say.
Yep.
However, when you're a sports figure, when you're a figure, you've gotten to a point to where when you say something, people will pay attention.
So if you're in corporate America, and you're on a phone call, right, and you splurt out Black Lives Matter.
That
Right?
one person on
the
that
call,
that
right?
one, but that's
I'm
only
just
one
saying,
person on that thing goes
You
here.
say Black Lives Matter on that, right?
Yeah, you can do it, but
Okay,
but that
right.
only that one person's
That would
gonna
be
hear it.
frowned upon, right?
It would
By
be.
your boss.
I can
Absolutely.
guarantee that
So-
call. That call. Hey, Tap, that
Yes.
call
Oh,
is being
buddy.
recorded.
Yeah, for quality assurance purposes.
Hey,
Yep.
quality
You would
assurance.
probably
You
be
be
fired.
recorded. So yeah, you can be.
So
hey,
how
real
is it
quick,
different?
Jay.
So you didn't.
How
Hold
is
on.
it any different?
So you went with the Black Lives Matter stuff on the court.
No, I'm just saying. As far
Tap, as a sports figure, you are a subcontractor, right? And you're under contract with a team. If somebody comes in, your conviction on Christianity, and you know Saturday morning, you come in and you're playing gospel music, like
Heavy metal.
and they're like, man, I don't want to hear that. You need to turn that off. They come in and get a haircut, and they're like, oh well, you got to turn that off. Or you're having a conversation about God or whatever, and you might be sharing your testimony with somebody. Are you going to stop? Are you going to denounce your beliefs and the fact that you're called to give this testimony right now just because they just came for a haircut? Mm-hmm. They just showed up for a haircut. They don't want to hear all the other stuff. Right. They don't want to be bothered with it. So I think when you start to do that, then you got to start looking at it. Where does it stop? Mm-hmm. So I think that everybody as an individual, if a corporation pushed something that Scott really strongly was against, he has the right to make the decision that I'm not going to rock with. I'm not going that direction. So, and then they have a decision to make, whether they're going to sever their ties with him or whether they're going to try to figure out, okay, how can we make and move forward?
I think it goes both
What
ways.
you
I
mentioned.
think it goes both ways because you might have a company that you work for say something like, I support Dave Chappelle. And then you might have the workers walk out because they don't support that, right? At the end of the day, you are the corporation, right? You are the business. You are writing the checks. So you write the rules.
But
But we understand it a little different when it comes from the Dave Chappelle perspective, right? When people walk out of the job and they do what they want to do.
as a contractor, though, as he's mentioned, like all athletes sign a contract, so they are a contractor at the end of the day. If it's not in my contract that says that I can't do it, then I should be able to do whatever I want to outside of this contract.
Yeah.
Okay, in New York. So let's break down the Kyrie situation. New York has a mandate.
You frying Kyrie right now.
On inside, you can't practice inside. You can't go inside any buildings unless you're fully vaccinated.
Or unless you're NYPD.
Or that. Or that.
Okay.
Or that. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But for the meantime, the general public,
that's a good point.
the general public has a rule that you have to be vaccinated to go inside.
Okay.
So what you are doing by not being vaccinated is you're making a choice. If that's your choice, stand on that choice. I support you. I'm totally with you on that because that's how you feel.
So listen. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Hot topic.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot to
continue.
think about.
Yep.
And just how we look at freedom and how free do we want to be in this lifetime. Jay, honestly, everybody may not get to that level of freedom, and some people don't want it. Freedom. Some people just want it to die. Some people want to live and see freedom. Everybody's version of freedom don't look the same. That's why I think we have to respect everybody at each level that they're at and where their mindset is. But I want to talk about, man, this is a special day for me, fellas. It's a special day, but it's also it's special, but it's somber in some years. Today is my father's birthday, my late father. He passed when I was 6.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy birthday, my guy. You know, I was very young when my father passed away. And, you know, just kind of talking about it sometimes is different. You know, losing a parent at such a young age, you know, when it first happened, you know, I didn't even really understand what was going on. You got to think about the atmosphere back then. It wasn't the internet. So my level of exposure and understanding, like I was shielded from understanding what death even was. That was the first funeral I've ever been to, was my dad's. I literally sat beside my cousin Antoine and I asked him, I said, my dad up there sleeping. I thought we went to church all the time, so I thought it was like communion or something like that. But then it was strange. They shut the casket. I remember I was walking behind, but my sister was screaming loud and crying. And I was like, you know, then it started to hit me that something might be wrong. I remember back then at that time, back in 1990, that's when he died. I was young. He was, you know, people back then, it was really a family atmosphere. I got up to play outside, say about 8 or 9 o'clock tap, and come home, take a shower, eat, go to bed. School, play. I didn't do nothing else. It was I wasn't around in the thing that could take my focus away from being a kid, especially, you know, kind of that young age. So, you know, when it happened, you know, over my lifetime, I don't think I even recognized that my father was gone for so many years of my life. I think I just completely shut it off. You know, like it didn't exist. You know, my mom had 5 children. You know, you got to get to work, man. Listen, you got 5 kids. Not even the financial aspect of it. We always go to that, but that's the lowest hanging fruit. But you're talking about the day to day. If anybody got kids out there and got 2 parents, you know how hard it is, day in and day out. You take a parent out of there, you take what the spirit and you think about it. It was 4 boys in the house. So you took away the biggest covering.
Yeah.
Our model head, our figurehead was gone. Guess what that did to me, Tap? So now my progression in being a man, I had brothers. Yeah, they were older than me. I was the youngest, but they were still boys. A boy can't teach a man how to be a man. So they had to learn how to be a man the long way. So, you know, I wanted to talk about that with my father. Just you know, it just was a gap in my life for such a long time. And that's dealing with grief. You know, what I'm talking about is grief. Grief started when my dad died. I probably knew he was never coming back, but it was easier for me to bury it. That's how grief starts. And in our community, Tap, Jay, through my years, I was never allowed to grieve, in my opinion. Not by the faults of my family, but the atmosphere that we was in. You grew up in the 90s. I was a little boy. Tap, when you fell down on the pavement, what do they tell you?
Suck it up.
Suck it up.
What? Say it again.
Get up.
Suck it up.
Get up.
Don't cry.
I seen a girl fall. Everybody runs to her. I scraped my knee and blood coming out. Get over that.
Wipe
you
it
play
off.
it throw up tackle, bro.
Walk it off.
You wouldn't give it nothing. You know, so I grew up in that atmosphere. It was that all the time. But it might, you know, it's not nobody's fault, but it allowed me to bury everything that was inside of me. And sometimes that's a dangerous thing, Tap, with grief. I know you had a situation, you know, in your own family, Tap, that you had to deal with and that put a void in your life, man. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, much like you as well, you know, I lost my dad when I was 5.
Wow.
I was 5 years old. I really don't have a lot of memories of him. But I found myself as I got older, as I became a teen, even a young adult, you know, I wondered why God allowed me to grow up without a dad. I saw some of my other friends with dads and different things like that, and I never had a dad. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, one thing is that God is always going to provide, and he's always going to make sure that you got the things that you need. And I had some really strong uncles. Who stepped in and they filled the void, for me. So I really didn't realize, you know what I'm saying, as I was growing up, that I had a need. If I needed a dad to be there, these guys stepped in. My Uncle Bobby, my Uncle Percy, my Uncle Tink, these guys, they stepped in for me. But, in some of the down times that I had, but I didn't stay there long, I used to, I had it out with God, like Lieutenant Dan.
I know what that means, bro.
I had it out. And I'm going to be honest with you. These are transparent moments right now. I had it out with God. I was like, God, why would you allow me to, why can't I play sports. Why my dad can't watch my games? You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing other people, dad, showing them stuff and coming to their games and stuff like that. Right. But, the bigger perspective is, I saw my mom work so hard.
Come on.
To fill those voids, to fill those needs that I had, for me growing up, to make sure that she surrounded me with good mentors, like my uncles. Stuff, I couldn't go to my mom about, and some stuff I got from the streets. I learned, we all did. We all learned some wrong things, in the streets. But for the most part, she made sure that, especially growing up in New York, it was rough. It was really tough. And she made sure that I came down to Virginia and I spent time with some of my uncles and things like that. And, I credit and I thank my mom for getting me to that point, of being a parent. Because, people say it all the time that, she's a mom and a dad. I'm a mom and a dad. You hear that all the time. Well, my mom really was that for me. You know what I'm saying? But she put me, when she didn't have answers or she couldn't relate to something.
Come on.
She allowed me to go with my uncles, and they showed me, like little stuff, I don't have that experience where I learned how to put I learned how to put a condom on. You know what I'm saying? I was trial and error on myself. Things that you would expect for a father or, someone in that position to show you or explain to you how to do that. I kind of got a lot of that from the street. You know what I'm saying?
Putting the condom on?
Yeah, really.
Oh.
D said take it off.
Backwards or
Your homeboy said take it off.
I had no practice with
D
that.
said take it
Y'all
off.
kind of disagreeing with you.
now you're out there risking it all.
You lost. I was like, hey, yeah, I want to. What?
Wow.
This nigga bugging.
You are something else. Yeah, for some of us, we actually use condoms. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, definitely, man. And it's in times like this now, because my wife's dad died when she was younger as well. She was a teenager. So, when my kids grow up, like now, as my kids grow up, they don't have grandfather figures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got grandmothers, but they don't have the grandfather figures. And that, that's tough.
That's tough.
It's tough because, there's a lot of wisdom that should be imparted from that perspective. And I can only speak from a dad's perspective. And a grandfather speaks a little differently.
And, the one thing with grief that it's not my diagnosis, but, just what I think, what I've gathered over my experience is that, life just isn't fair. Get over it. I had to tell myself that. Doesn't mean I don't hurt. Doesn't mean I don't feel, but that's been my approach. Hey, listen, is my life any more valuable than somebody that's sleeping outside? Why do I deserve not to suffer? There's gonna be times in everybody's life where there's things that happen to you that's not fair.
Get over it.
Build a bridge and get over it.
Well, that's a loaded statement, because that also assumes that you have the right to judge whether it is or it isn't. You don't have a say so as to whether life is fair or whether it's not. You don't have that say so. You make you take what life gives you and you make the best of what you have. You can't be so down on a situation
Oh no.
that you forget I still have a life to live. Grief is necessary. Grief, absolutely. I look back on, losing my grandfather, the one I got to know. My other grandfather passed away before I ever had a chance to get to know him. I do remember bits and pieces, but I was so young. But the grandfather that I had growing up, I missed out on a lot. I should have learned from him. But as long as you have those memories, he'll still live in you.
Absolutely.
As long as you can remember the things that he did teach you, as long as you can connect to the things that you did learn from him, he's still living in you. I feel like a lot of what I learned even from my dad is still here. God, I'm so thankful for it. But he spent enough time with me growing up that even when he's gone, the lessons that he taught me, even at a young age, I'll never forget. He'll always live in me. And that's a choice. That's your choice, to allow grief to be a life thing and not a death thing.
Because there's stages of grief.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk about it. I want to go through them a little bit. There's stages of grief. And Tap, I didn't realize, when I was looking at this, the first thing I talked about is I act like it didn't exist. First stage is denial. And you don't even realize you're denying it. Jay, I know your mother, passed away. And I can't imagine. I know I had a father pass away. And King, we're going to go back to you. We're going to go to you. But, Jay, I know what process was the denial for you? Because it has to be a tough thing, losing a mother, the person that nurtured you. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine, and I'm not even going to try to imagine. But, man, just share your experience, man, on just, that one stage, and have you ever experienced that in your process of grief?
I think for me, I was always tasked with being the strong person. So when I received a call, my dad called me first, and he told me, he was like, it's like 2:30 in the morning. He's like, you need to come home because your mom not doing well. My dad is a lot like me. I'm never going to call somebody in the middle of the night because I got this. Yeah. I'll let you know tomorrow after I've already handled it. I knew when he called me in the middle of the night, my mom was dead at that point. So I left my house not too far from here. I got down by the airport. He called me back. He's like, you on the road yet? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on the highway. And the phone went silent. And he's like, well, I'm like, I already know. I'm on my way. And so when I got there,
my heart dropped.
Man, the biggest part of it is you don't realize how things, start to fall down in tears, because when I got there, when I walked through the door, several people were there. Just the coroner had just, taken my mom out. And now I watched the only hero I ever had fall apart. Mm-hmm. So not only did I lose my mom, now my dad is just distraught, because that was his life partner. That was his everything, his best friend and everything. So now I'm in go mode. So I got a younger brother, and my dad was like, and I mean, like, I hope he watched this, because he was the epitome of a mama's boy. And my dad was like, I can't tell him. So who next up? So I had to get in my car. I just lost my mom now, so I had to get in my car and go and get my little brother, put him in the car and tell him that his mom is gone. And so for years, man, like, just to bring it, summarize, I never dealt with it. I never dealt with it. For years, like, I would find myself, like, because it's like, at that point, like, it's we got to spring into action. Like, you got to get this stuff done. Like, you spoke to it. Like, now the work has to be done. So it's like, now I spent a lot of time, like, helping my dad get his life back together. And then maybe 7, 8 years later, my dad decided to get remarried, and he asked me to be the best man in his wedding. It was a small thing. But the whole time, I never grieved for my own mother.
Yeah.
And now you're going to, and so, yeah, life goes on, man. But, like, I never, ever took time to grieve. And I would find myself, like, just angry, man. Just really, really angry. I spent a lot of time in my life just being upset. And I was upset with God. You talking about having it out with God, bro, you have no idea. And I never grieved. And to the point that I did seek, to speak to somebody, and then it was so bad that I couldn't even talk to the, like, because I didn't trust him.
Yeah. And
a couple years ago, man, my godmother passed, and I loved her to death. And this ain't been that long. It's been literally like 2 years ago. All of y'all knew me at this point in time. And I went to the funeral. She lived up in Durham, and sweet as she can be, man. And I just, like, during the funeral, I started crying. I don't cry, and it was just uncontrollable,
Man.
and I couldn't understand, like, okay, yeah, she was my aunt and my godmother, and yeah, I'm gonna miss her, but that wasn't it. You get what I'm saying? That wasn't it.
it activated the other thing.
And, like, man, I was really, really, like, I was
Cup
broken
can
at
only
that
be
point.
so full.
Yep.
My mom been dead for 15 years, bro. I didn't grieve until 2 years ago. And I'm still going through that process now because I buried it.
Yep.
And the worst part of that, and anybody that sees this is, you know how many people, man, I got a list of people that were really close to me, long as it is from me to Scott. I could list the names. But I never learned how to grieve because I always just tucked it away. And I started to bring that trauma to everything and everybody that I dealt with in life, to the point that I kind of shut things off and shut people out. I even celebrate my own birthday. My grandmother died like the day before my birthday a few years back. And, like, so everything in my life, I just kind of position it so I don't have to deal with it.
Yep.
But 2 years ago, I was faced with all of it, man. I just couldn't understand, like, you know how it is inside. You're like, I'm going to cry. I'm going to get myself, bruh.
Right.
I couldn't control it. I just could not handle it. And I learned then that, hey, you need to take some time and you need to deal with it. So I started to speak on it. I started to realize I was mad with my dad for replacing my mom. But he didn't replace. He deserved to go on with his life, but I had to deal with it.
Yep.
I never dealt with any of it, but I had to learn that it's okay for me to have these feelings. I just got to work through it. I was upset with my siblings because I felt like I was the only one that never got a chance to be hurt, to be upset. I was always called strong. Exactly. I had to be strong and I had to be responsible, but it was okay. It wasn't their fault, but I had to deal with it. And so grieving, when you say grieving is a process, I will say it's a lifelong process. Yeah. Some days are better than others, bro. Some days I'm just riding, man, and man, I was going somewhere today. It's weird, man, and like this song, my daughter watched this Tyler Perry movie, and it's this song that they sang on this, Father, Can You Hear Me? So for some reason it popped in my head, and I played it. I went to YouTube and I played it. And all those feelings just came rushing right back, man. Like, it's just, and so it's a process. And someday, I can speak about my mom in a very positive manner, and some days I can't handle it at all. But the one point that I want to make about grieving is I've lost so much and so many people that I had gotten to a point in my life, man, that I didn't feel anything.
Yep.
I wouldn't let anybody close to me,
Yep.
and I didn't feel anything.
Yep.
And everybody that started to get close, push them away.
Push them away.
And I decided that day at the church in Durham that my daughter deserved better than that. And I wasn't going to continue to try to raise a strong child, and I was broken myself. So I had to start stopping and dealing with some stuff. And it's a work in progress, man, and it's a struggle. I suffered, and I suffered for a long, long time, man, and it's hard. That's very hard.
And that's the tough part, man. It's just that when you get two parents they're meant to shield you and protect you. But when you take one away, it leaves a void. It leaves vulnerability. There's things that moms give. There's things that fathers give. And both of those things they're not, the other one, they can do it, but it doesn't get the same result. And I was just thinking, man, and it was really touching. You was talking about your mom, and I just thought about that I was thankful that I still had my mom. You know, my mama had to step up. My daddy was resting in peace. He was. But my mama she had to deal with everything. She had to deal with his death. She had to still raise her children. And that's where a lot of things in households, Keegan, because you didn't have your father for a while. Say that's the least. You can go into your experience, but you know, and it was you and your mom for a while. And I'll let you talk about your experience with grief and how you dealt with it.
You mean still dealing with it?
Oh, come on.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Because so I by the age of 15, my entire ecosystem was gone. By the age of 15, that's when I lost my mom's when I was 15. But my dad died in jail before then.
Did you ever know your dad?
I knew he was in jail, but didn't have a relationship with him. But he died in Roadway Prison in New Jersey. And my grandparents on my mom's side passed away before she did. And it was like 3 years in a row. My mom's died in 91. My auntie Pat died in 90, and my grandma's died in 89. And my granddad died before that. My dad died in jail. And so when you deal with that kind of loss and then you have to shift your life, your entire world changes. You move from the north to the south. Like, it was a lot that came at me at a young age that I did not know how to handle, right? A lot of external input, a lot of external stimuli that you just don't know how to handle. And so I did, bad things, and that's just what it was. But I didn't start grieving about my mom's death in particular, because that was the one. Because see, when my grandparents died, my grandfather died, my grandmother, my mother took care of me. When my grandmother died, my mom's took care of me. My mom's died. My Aunt Pat died. My mom's took care of me. My mom's died. There was no one to care. And my mother was like the Avengers all in one person.
Wow.
And Tap can attest to this. Single mother raising the kid in the north, in the city, in the projects. That's a different kind of person. Yep. Raise a kid up in that, especially a boy. And I was a latchkey kid because she had to work. Yep. So I was running the streets, stuff like that. But she covered me in ways that I had to learn about later on in life. But I didn't grieve on my mother's death until I became an adult. I didn't know how. Wow. Because my defense was no one can get close. To your point, Jay, I can't let no one get close for two reasons. One is, if I let you get close and you leave me, because I felt like I was left. Mm-hmm. The second thing is, you can't get close, because if you understand what's inside of me, I now got to face it. I don't want to face it.
I don't want to face it, yeah.
I don't want to deal with it. So it wasn't until I was an adult that, because I had to think about things like, as you become older, I'm not Superman, so if I leave here, I got to make sure that my kids can handle my death, right? And being in my business, I teach people about legacy. When you die, how life insurance works, stuff like that. So talking about how they handle my death, I got to deal with my mother's passing. That's when it started. And dealing with my daughter, because she's the oldest child that I have. And that's when I started dealing with it. And I'm telling you, I had so much trauma from that. I'll just give you a quick synopsis of why I say I had trauma. My grandmother developed cancer. Lung cancer moved to brain cancer. So I took care of her in her last days, because there was no hospital that was not going to do that. So over the summertime, I took care of her. And to watch my grandmother and my grandfather, they were some social butterflies. They had a gambling house, all kinds of stuff. They were party people. They had fun. To watch this vibrant woman, even as a young kid, this vibrant woman could become a shell of herself, lose her mind, hiding cigarettes in the lampshade, putting Bengay in the oven because she had a brain tumor. To watch that happen, that was in me. I consumed that. Never dealt with it until I got older. So I wonder, why do I behave this way? Why do I snap so quick? Where does this anger come from? I'm willing to fight. Why do I say when it gets to I want to kill myself? You start asking, you start figuring out where these kind of things are coming from. It's unresolved and undealt with trauma. And so I just started dealing with that because I'm going to get my kids ready to handle my death or their mother's death. I have to make sure that I address my own shit. I'm in therapy right now with some of that stuff. You have no idea, to your point, Jay, the unresolved trauma that you have from death that you have not dealt with. And if you don't, it festers. It will eat you up slowly but surely, and it comes out in behavior.
And it can create suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand suicidal thoughts are deeper than just taking your physical life. It's just stopping. We reduce suicidal thoughts to just physical death. But what about being dead while you're alive? What about it taking your energy away? It's taking your worth away. So you reduce the gift that God gives you and you do nothing. Death isn't just, it's a one-time thing. You out of here. But living with that.
Living is hard, bro.
Yeah, it's hard.
Living is hard.
Pain.
One of the things that
pain. Yep.
that I did, like my mom, I even told my dad this one time, and it depends on how you look at it. And he was like, "Yeah, she see you, son." I always felt bad because my mom never lived long enough to see me get my shit together. Like I would go there, and like she'd be like, "Son, you ain't living right." Like she knew what I was into. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Mom, go ahead with all that." You know what I mean? And it got to the point to where my mom suffered for a long time before she passed. And so I got to the point to where like I wouldn't go around a whole lot. And so she would call me and I'm like, I'm gonna come. She was like, "You ain't coming through here." And she was like, "It's okay, baby, I know." You know what I mean? Because she knew me. But I made up in my mind after my mom passed, like a year later, a little bit over a year later, my daughter was born. And I made up in my mind then that I was gonna make her proud. And I started to live my life with a purpose. Slowly but surely. I'm not going to say I was all the way, out of what I used to do, but I wanted to get myself to a point to where I was living a life that she could be proud of. And I told my dad, I said, "Man, I just wish," and he was like, "Son, she see you. She sees you." And I just wanted her to be able to see me live a life that wasn't, always screwed up.
Yeah.
And so that became my driving force. So I think that, to put a positive spin on it, that's something that really helped me because I really wanted to get my life together,
And that could be, and although there's another side of grief. So we talk about, you can function in grief. You can be happy and joyful in grief. Mm-hmm. Grief, it shrinks the less attention you give it. You have to understand what it is. What phase are you in? Are you in denial and isolation? Are you angry? Mm-hmm. Where are you at? Have you reached acceptance? Because that don't mean the hurt doesn't go away after acceptance. It just means that, yes, my daddy's been dead for 26 years. Yes, there are days where, listen, it's terrible. I don't like it. It's days where I'm like, man, this is not fair. There's days when I played football, when I was doing great. My mom was in the stand, and she don't really understand football like that. But I knew she had to be strong for me in a place that she was unfamiliar with, that she didn't even have no interest in. She had to find interest in something just for me, because she knew I wanted her to be out there. And people don't realize, especially guys, who, if you're really good on the field, or you're really good on the court, or you're really good at something, you want your parents to see you. Every time my little girls walk around the house and do something good, they'll do it over and over and over and over again.
You see me, Daddy?
Yeah. What I can do. And now, man, that's I say for me, man, and kind of bringing it together, that's what has made me a better father. It's made me more aware of the mistakes I've made as a father. I recognize if I'm not being enough for my daughters. I recognize if I'm messing up. I recognize if my presence. I don't even if my somebody tell me, hey Steve, do this. With us, don't scream, don't do this, or Steve, you need to be spending more time doing it this way. It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm a bad father. It means I got the awareness now because I understand what it is not to have a father. So I don't want my kids to miss out on that experience. Tap, I know that's important to you for your kids. Keegan, Scott, Jay, that's important. Yeah. That experience with your kids. And losing my father, Tap, and I know you can relate to this because you lost your father at a young age. And before we wrap up, we got a little bit more time? Talk about, Tap, just how you overcame that and what kind of father has it made you going forward?
That's good. That's real good. The way that I overcame that, I can't fully say that I've ever overcame it because it's still, like, at times I really think about, I look at my kids and I want to introduce them to their granddad, you know what I'm saying? And he ain't, it is what it is. And then I'm dealing with not having my father there too and milestones I've had in my life that he's not there for, hasn't been there for, it's not any fault of his own. And then I know it's, God has been so good to me. You know what I'm saying? He's been so good. And I think that sometimes some of the challenges that you go through in life, they shape you and they mold you into the person that you become. So, when I am a father to my kids, I try to support them in what they are interested in. Like my oldest daughter right now is like really gung-ho into basketball. And I want to be there because I wanted someone there with me. Yeah. When I was playing football,
come on,
up,
Tap.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, Tap.
So I'm like, sometimes I'm ODing. I'm at her practices.
You was there yesterday.
We ain't talking about the game.
You was there yesterday.
I literally have been at practice with her because there is, a void, and I don't want her to look around and say that I wasn't there for something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or I prioritize something else above her. You know what I'm saying? I want her to know that she's that important. I'll shut down the shop. I'll shut down work or whatever just to make sure that I'm there for you. Because I only got I got 2 more years with her. She's in 11th grade. I got 2 more years with her.
Goes by fast, bro.
And they go by fast. And, I talk to brothers like Keegan and a few other people, man, whose children have grown up. These years go by quick,
yes,
man.
They do.
And I think that grief, I had to turn it into something positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
But it's not a time period that goes by that I don't think about my dad. I look at old pictures and see, like, do I look like him now? Like, did he have a beard like me? Is it gray like mine? Or, that's, and that's because you want to see your likeness in something that created you.
Come on.
And then, on the other end, I have my mom who's been there grinding so hard and working so hard, and I want to make her proud too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that was something that really pushed me because she sacrificed a lot. She used to work at General Motors in Terrytown, automotive plant, and she busted her butt. And I was a latchkey kid too.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Keegan said that. I was like, yo, that was me. I went to school when I was a little youngin' with the key tied around a string under my T-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Don't let nobody know you got the key.
Don't let nobody know you got the key.
You know what I'm saying? You come home, and that's the only time you take that key off, man. Mm-hmm. But, I will say that all your experiences, everything you go through in life is part of the process that makes you, molds you. Everybody is uniquely different, purposely. You never know what someone's story, just like that gospel song now I'm going to. You don't know my story.
Yeah. Come on.
You don't know my story. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough because to see, man, we are survivors, bro.
Yeah.
We ain't even supposed to be here, man. The stuff, the crap that we've been through, we ain't even supposed to be here, man. We are survivors, man. And, God is good. God is good. God has kept our minds through some stuff that has broken other people. Other people have lost it. have lost it
Man, I can
mentally.
Make
Some
you
of the
testimony.
things that they've been through. You know, God has kept us all in sane minds. And yes, are we going to go through tough stuff? Absolutely, we're going to go through some tough stuff. But know that God is there guiding us through. And it's bigger than just religion. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about a real relationship with God. God will get you through these times. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
That's
Tap.
the
You
most
in the
important
vein.
thing.
Hey, Tap, can I double down on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Go
Because we were talking about life isn't fair. It's not a fair. If you want a fair, it comes around once a year. It's called the state fair.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Christ said, I never said it would be easy. I said it would be worth it.
Yep. And I'll
Right?
be there.
And he'll be there.
Right.
And so you said earlier about you had uncles that stood in the gap
Yep.
for your father, right? My mom's died. My Uncle Benji and my Aunt Velma and their family took me in down south. That's what brought me down south. And they had no idea what they did for me because I would have died or been in jail if I would have been left up in Jersey.
That's right.
And here's why I'm bringing this up. Because we saw about this earlier with Keith about in the barbershop about God having covering over one of his children in ways you can't even fathom. The question is, why did he want to keep me alive?
Boy, you about to.
Now I'm about to figure out, okay, what's my purpose? So I have people tell me I'm overly generous. My goal right now in my life is if I have it and somebody in my circle needs it, they got it. I give. Because my uncle and my aunt opened their house up to me. They had
Come on, Keegan.
They had 7 kids.
That's good.
7 kids, Scott. And they sacrificed to let me have a chance at life. Wow. A chance at life. Because they knew I would have stayed up in Jersey. It was a dub. Jail or dead, one or the other. And so what's my purpose? How can I impact at least one person's life outside of my children, right? I found that, and I do what I can with the gifts I've been given as a steward because I want to impact other people in positive ways because my life was saved for that one particular purpose.
Man, that is
Purpose.
I do it when I can.
and this,
I'm not 100% with it, but I do it
and
when
we're
I
wrapping
can.
it up, Jog. Man, this is good. But
Yeah.
that shows the strength of the black family
Yeah.
as a whole. I think we talk a lot sometimes about our flaws, but these are the beautiful parts because that void. See, I didn't say it, but I want to say it now. Man, the Moulton family, my mother's family, my family. You know, we had a clan, and my cousins, my uncles, my aunts. I was probably in denial because they helped me grieve without me even knowing it.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
It was love. It was correction. It was respect. They didn't have a lot of money to give me, but I learned respect. I learned so many attributes that you can't pay for. I learned that if things are tight, I still keep my integrity.
Yeah.
I still keep my name because it don't matter what you have. If you can keep your name,
Yes.
you can go far in life.
Yep.
Because people will trust who you are. They trust your character. Man, listen, man. Listen. This has been one. This has been one.
Oh, Tap gets game ball, by the way.
No.
Tap, I'm going to be honest with you. You was 35, 15, and 17, my guy. Hey, listen,
He in
you
game
hit Jay with
seven,
that.
He was in game
Brah,
7.
one time. Yeah, you was knocking Jay out one time. You came back there.
Hey,
I was like, God,
boy,
get off
though.
of him.
I was like, Jay, don't tap me in. Jay, don't tap me in. I want none of that stuff right now.
I
gotta
know
get a
fire
haircut
behind
next
that
week. Yeah, I got to get a haircut next week, man. I'm sorry, bro.
But in closing, man, this episode was dedicated to my father, William G. Talbert, Bishop William G. Talbert. I'm continuing your legacy.
Amen.
I will fulfill the destiny that God created us for, and pass it on to my children and my family and everybody that surrounded me. The love that you gave everybody, the stories I hear, the families you brought together, the people you impacted is the reason why I'm sitting here. See, this is an example of I may not get to the mountaintop with you.
Yeah.
There's things that your children, my children, this is why I'm doing this. Because I want 50 to 80 to 90 to 100 years from now, my great-grandchildren giving me a double salute.
No question.
Jay, you train up a child in the way it should go. Your mother. You can see the works of your mother. They didn't manifest. See, she didn't get to see them.
That's a fact.
That was
That's
the
a fact.
strength of your mother. She didn't even get to see the fruits of her labor.
That's good, Steve.
I think sometimes,
fact.
man, Jock, I know I'm wrapping it up, but sometimes that's the hard part about all of this. It's our parents, and I think that's what hurts the most. Not my father not seeing me develop into the man, the battles I fought, the battles I continue to fight, the things I've overcame, the accomplishments, even the failures. Sometimes when I fail, the first person I like, man, where's my father? You know what I mean? So, but I thank you, Father. I thank everybody who's lost anybody in your life. We're not experts on grieving. No. These are just real experiences.
Absolutely.
We don't have the answers. We don't know if we're going to get it right tomorrow. But what we're saying to you is that stick close to people you love.
That's it.
Find a circle of people that accept you, not for what you can do for them, but to who you are. If you can't be vulnerable and completely vulnerable with somebody, if you got to keep hiding stuff from me, then you don't see me as a friend. I'm an acquaintance.
That's right.
So that's the message I always have to everybody. And the next message, y'all go subscribe to YouTube.
Like and share.
The Deep Surface Pod. Like, share, and comment. Also, not subscribe, but follow us on Instagram, The Deep Surface Pod. Man, this has been a beautiful podcast, and we're out.
Yes,
Bye.
sir.